Hi, today I want to talk about the QA processes, and my presentation may be a little bit similar with the previous speaker, but I'm going to focus on the project and when we have to build their processes or when we better go away from there. Because some project will teach you, grow you, and advance your career, and others will just burn you out. And let's tell them apart. Who I am. My name is Daria, and I'm quality assurance engineer for 10 years already. I have experience in different areas and different companies. It was in startup and large-scale enterprises. And through some painful lessons, I have learned to recognize when a project is worth the fight and when it's time to step away. And here's our journey. And we discussed the type of projects. I made a free category project when nothing can be saved, when we can make some basic improvements, projects with potential where we definitely have to build. And also I prepared checklists with 3 categories, and you could rate your project by the item that I prepared and my conclusions. So let's start with why is meta. There are plenty of articles and talk about how to build QA processes from scratch, but rarely do we ask whether a project is worth saving. My goal is to help you choose project where your energy and efforts worth it. And let me start with the harsh reality. Some project cannot be saved, no matter how to try. And here's the red flags I learned to recognize. No stable environments, of course, when you need setting the environment instead of using that, and quality isn't priority. You had on communication between developers, between QA and management, and in the QA team also, and weird solutions with the hire more manual testers instead of introduce automation cases. And of course, there was a constant firefighting mode, whereas overtime is regular. You had to work on the weekends, so you couldn't go on vacation, and so on. And let me show you how these warning signs actually manifest in real project, and I want to share with you with my experience. My toxic project experience. I'm talking about it with smile, but believe me, it wasn't funny. These are specific red flags that should make you seriously consider leaving. I was brought this project temporarily as just help with regression testing to existing quality team. And of course, instead of fixing the root cause, lack of automation, management just kept adding more testers. We have 15 QAs on this project. And of course, I suggest process improvement on daily calls, but nothing was changed. And after 2 months, I was moved on one of the product branch of this project, and surprise, surprise, I had 1 week for testing, despite on this feature developed in 3 months. Unfair. And unfortunately, I noticed not only unfair processes and also unrespectful management and customers who surprised me, of course. And my lessons was here. Oh, sorry. It's Despite delivering a successful release and building client trust, nothing changed. That's when I learned you can fix systematic dysfunction with individual heroics. And of course, I successfully released my part, but I totally burned out. And why we do stay in this situation like this? Looking back, I can analyze this, and I think we kept proposing improvements on daily calls, and I thought maybe it's something changed. I felt responsible for the release because I have a good experience in this area, and maybe I could improve that, but not. I delivered successfully and built client trust, but nothing changed. And especially when colleagues are being laid off, and when you have a good relationship in the team, it's maybe you're stubborn to walk away. And the irony is, the more competent you are, the longer you might stay, thinking you can fix what fundamentally broken. And here we discuss the second type of project, also a chaotic project, but you could build some basic improvements. And here are the markers which I recognize. Team listens, but even if not enthusiastic, but listen, and it's important. If you're telling something, I want to introduce this feature, and it's improve our processes, and they agreed with you. Management also willing to negotiate basic requirements, and small processes are tolerated, not huge, of course. And in this situation, you are not trying to revolutionize, you are trying to survive while adding value. It's about finding the minimal viable improvements that protect you from becoming a scapegoat. And let me tell you about a project like this. Of course, it was a chaotic project without clear documentation. Management just gave me a Word document. It wasn't online, it was a local document. So I couldn't see new improvements from the client. And they just sent me, okay, you just test and that's finished. Of course, we hadn't described for task, for epics, for stories, and of course there wasn't comments by developers what was done and what could I verify. And my strategy was I accepted, first of all, and I discussed with management what we could improve, and we start with QA statuses to the board. It was a really win for me. And after that, I proceed asked to describe the tasks because I don't understand what could I do. And one was example of my trick because there was a discussion where they told me every task in the testing statuses has to be tested by you because you just one QA here, so every task has to be done. I said okay, and started testing the technical tasks. And spent a lot of time to figure out what was improved and how to test it. And when we discussed this on daily calls, they told me, of course, you hadn't do that. And whereas I answered, okay, but you told me I have to test it every tasks in these statuses, we could discuss that. Maybe some of them should comments, maybe no need QA. And my precious time could be more productive in the other tasks. And thanks God they listened, and we separate technical tasks and tasks what have to be tested. And I was win, and and also I protect by myself with detailed technical testing documentation. I left detailed comment for each story which I tested, and if we have some issues, I wrote who accepted. So, and after that I create documents where I described everything that I had done, and I had no questions from the management, and we successfully released this product. And we continued to another part, my favorite part, the project with potential, where we could build everything wherever we want, but okay, not wherever we want, but that we could. And this is a golden science, stable testing environment, of course. Developers follow TDD methodology, write unit tests, integration tests, testing their code, testing their feature before move it to the QA. Every team opinion is valid. And the whole team invested in product quality, not just the QA department. And my favorite is shift-left testing approach method. It's because if when we earlier testing the task, we could prevent the defects and bugs, not finding them. And I want to share with my experience with one of this project. The project was early stage, volumes were small, but documentation was scattered across Confluence pages, and management asked me to straight what we could improve here, and I suggest a couple of decisions. I suggest use the Zephyr because we already use Jira, and it was good tools to create these cases and create the cycles and provide smoke and regression testing. And we did not we could decline the Confluence page because we create for every cases we created new page in Confluence. It was uncomfortable, and management was accepted and discussed with the customers, and they agreed, and we reduced our time for technical documentation for 40%. And of course, there was also shift-left approach. They used agile methodology. QA was involved in planning and retrospective. And it wasn't a unique project where I have a good quality processes. I have another one, and here's we improve our automation processes. We have everything. We have a shift-left approach, we have agile, we have a management who listened, we have a good communication between developers and management and inside in the team. So, but we spent 3 or 4 weeks for regression, and every person in the team testing this product, and was a lot of time. And therefore we decide to introduce automation, and it was from scratch. And first of all, we covered existing manual test cases, and after that we started create test cases for new features and stories parallelly with manual cases. After the developers started to create unit integration tests for their code, and after our improvements, we spent 6 months for that, and after our improvements, we reduced our time from 4 weeks to 1, and it was successful for us. Also, CI/CD triggers automated test before deployment also reduced defects and bugs. And developers became here like quality partners. Releases became predictable, and QA evolved from bottleneck to enable. And so how do you tell the difference between these project types? And of course, I prepare checklists. And first category, environment and infrastructure. You could rate your current project from 1 to 5, whereas 1 critical issue and 5 is excellent. And test environment stability, it's if you spend more time fixing the environment than actually testing, that's definitely 1. And if when planning ignores QA time allocation, problems are inventable, and of course it was 1. And now having solid infrastructure is necessary but not sufficient, and let's look at the technical practices. And this the second category covers your technical practices and processes. You also could rate it from 1 to 5. And here's 5 items. And if developers say testing isn't our job, that's a bad sign, of course. And I've noticed the developers' involvement, if developers' involvement in the testing, that's a great indicator of quality culture. But even great infrastructure and solid technical practices can fail without the right people and culture. And that brings us to the crucial category, team culture and leadership. Honestly, this often determines where everything else will work. You could also rate it, and because open dialogue between teams, it's really important if you try to do correctly and acceptance these processes in the right way. Of course, you need a good communication, not between the teams and inside also. Of course, psychology safety also important. If your management yelling on you, it's totally one point here. And opportunities to develop your skills and thus your expertise also, it's a good sign. It's also, it's totally fine. And everyone is responsible for quality, shared ownership leads, and to shared solutions. And now that we have all 3 categories, we could assess our project. So, and here's the assessment. You could rate it honestly across all 3 categories, and if you have a high score, you could build confidently. This environment will support your efforts. If you have a mixed scores, you could start minor improvements and monitor progress closely. And low scores, the data is telling you something important about where to focus your energy. And this framework removes emotions from career decision. When the patterns are clear, trust what the assessment is telling you rather than what you hope might change. And both paths can advance your career when chosen thoughtfully. And in conclusion, I want to leave you with the most important takeaways from today. Use the 3 category framework we discussed to get an objective picture. When you see red flags, write them down with dates and examples. Objective evidence guides better decision than hopes or fears. And if you see no meaningful change in 3 months, that tells you something important about the organization red lines and for improvement. Then your choice to build processes or find better opportunities also where you're making the strategic professional decision. And the final, your expertise is valuable and deserves environments where it can actually make a difference. The choice is always yours, and that's your superpower as a QA professional. And you have to remember, your expertise can flourish in the right ground. So thank you for listening.